Welcome. This presentation is designed to provide Research Day at the Capitol participants with details about the event, as well as some tools that I hope you will find useful to prepare for a successful experience. I am Honey Bryan, Outreach Coordinator for the Oklahoma EBSCOR program, which presents Research Day at the Capitol in conjunction with the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education. If you have questions at any time during your Research Day at the Capitol experience or at the conclusion of this presentation, don't hesitate to reach out to me via email or phone. I would like you to please go ahead and get my cell number saved in your contacts, 405-762-3301, in case you run into any issues during the event. I really hope you'll be able to get a hold of me so that I can help. Cash prizes will be awarded to the first, second, and third place presenters in each of two categories: research intensive universities and regional, community, and tribal colleges. One overall grand prize will also be awarded. The grand prize winner will receive a cash prize plus a summer research internship worth $4,000. We have already completed the video presentation round of the competition. You have already submitted your final your final abstract. You will still have a chance to resubmit your poster on March 31st. And then in April, the 14th, we will do the oral presentation and oral responses to the judges that you will be scored on. Another thing that you will be doing that isn't a part of how you will be judged is preparing a shorter version of your presentation to share with legislators and the public. Let's review our timeline. A number of these items are struck through because they've already been completed. Some dates I want you to keep in mind. You're viewing the second student information training session right now. There is a PDF that you need to sign and return to me for that by February 28th. I'm going to open up a registration link in the coming days so that you can register for the event. You have until March 19th to do so, and I will send you the link to that as soon as it is available. March 31st, the PDFs of your final poster submission are due. So part of what we're talking about today, I hope you will take to heart and decide if you want to make some revisions. And then on April 14th, we will host the poster and oral presentation judging at the Hilton Embassy Suites in Oklahoma City. And then the next day, we will do the Research Day at the Capitol event itself and the award ceremony. I'm going to talk you through the finer points of all of these things today. I want to share with you the criteria that has been used in the past for judging the in-person presentations with posters. The judges traditionally have assigned from 1 to 10 points for each of these categories: the abstract, scientific presentation, students' ability to explain the project, visual appearance, clarity for general audiences, the relevance of the study, and an overall score. This year is different because the online judging component is new to us all. The judges are now discussing whether or not they want to add another category that includes a score for the presentation you've already given, and trying to find the fairest way to make sure that we're representing all of these concepts in your scores. I want to point out from feedback I've heard from the judges that your ability to explain the project is really the paramount thing here. We want to know the ins and outs of this project as a work in science. So don't skip the hypothesis. Don't skip your results. Make sure that you're connecting your research question, your hypothesis, to reasons for asking these questions, to practical reasons why you designed your research the way you did. Well, I think about what Einstein supposedly said, that until you can explain your science to a 6-year-old, you can't really explain it. Remember that you will be presenting to judges who are scientists. They aren't necessarily going to be in the same fields as you. So what you have in common with these researchers is scientific method. Make sure and use that as the backbone for all the ways that you describe your research and why it's important. Let's talk a little bit more about the poster and oral presentation judging. The poster and oral judging will take place in one of the meeting rooms at the Embassy Suites in Oklahoma City on Monday, April 14th, 2025. Judging will begin at noon and end at about 5. You will be given individually scheduled presentation times within this time frame, so you won't have to be there the entire day, but you will need to be there in your scheduled time. I will be there, and other people from my office will be there to help you with any issues you might have. You will be given a designated presentation time about a month before the event, and it's important that you arrive on time for that. You will bring your poster with you. You will need to bring a firm board for that. You can pre-mount your poster on the board or bring something with you to attach it. When you arrive at the hotel, you will locate the EPSCoR registration table and check in with one of our staff, probably me. They will provide you with a number that will be placed on the corner of your poster. You have already left space on your poster for that number to go, and you will leave the poster number on your poster throughout the entire event. We will have an easel in the judging room for your poster so that you'll be able to walk right in and put the poster on the easel. But remember, you do need that board to hold it up. And if you wish, you may bring a small and safe demonstration item in the room with you. There will be a table beside the easel for that. You will not have setup time, however, so it must not be a complicated item. I also want to remind you that if you do choose to bring an item with you, make sure you practice with that item as well, because getting all of the information in the 3 minutes you have to do so is going to be a real challenge, and that is a big part of what this competition is about. You may also not bring any additional handouts or supplementary material during your presentation. Your abstract, the judges will have it printed in front of them already. I'm providing that. And you have your poster and your presentation. That's what's being judged. Please note, you must bring your own easel to the Capitol the following day, and we'll go over that in a minute. This year we have 4 judges who are well educated in the sciences, but not necessarily experts in your field of study. So they're going to be familiar with the scientific process and research itself. And a few of them have judged this competition before, so they're also used to listening to our student researchers. But keep your audience in mind when you're preparing your presentation, because you're going to want to speak to these judges as though they do know about science, but not necessarily your specific field. After entering the judging room, place your poster on the easel, and the judges will prompt you when they're ready for you to begin. Be confident, smile, introduce yourself, and walk them through your project using your poster as reference. Your 3-minute oral presentation will be timed, and you cannot go over. There will be someone to time you and help you know when you're getting close. The judges will want to know about your project and specifically your role in it. After your 3 minutes are over, the judges will have up to 5 minutes that are also timed to ask you questions about your presentation and your poster. The questions are usually to reaffirm something that you've mentioned during your presentation or to clarify a point. You should be ready to answer questions about the entire project, even if you only handled an individual component. This panel of judges wants you to be successful. That's why they have dedicated their time to the event. I think it's helpful to remember that. Also, in regards to the questions, a former winner mentioned once that when she developed her 3-minute talk, she tried to set up the questions for judges because that meant that she also had well thought out responses ready. When the Q&A is over, take your poster out of the room with you. Remember to leave the number on your poster for the next day. You are free for the rest of the day after you have presented to the judges. This would be a great opportunity to make a test drive to the Capitol so you don't have any surprises for the next morning. I would also like to take just a moment to talk about the area we will be in, since many of you will be staying in the city for the event the next day at the Capitol building. After you use your map to find out where the Capitol building is and what entrance you will be using, you're basically going to have the whole rest of the day. I want to point out that there are some fun, cheap to free things to do in the immediate vicinity, such as the Oklahoma City Botanic Garden and the Oklahoma City Art Museum, which are both pretty close and pretty fun. The other big thing in downtown Oklahoma City is Bricktown, which of course you are welcome to visit Bricktown. I do want to give a little bit of advice as an Oklahoma City local. If you go to Bricktown, or if you leave your hotel after dark for any reason, take your car. And if you can help it, don't go alone. Even if you're just going the 6 blocks to Bricktown, they are 6 very long blocks. And walking in downtown Oklahoma City after hours can be a little bit scary, and I do not suggest it, especially if you're going alone. Like I said, there are lots of fun things to do, but remember that we've got to be up bright and early the next day. So make sure you have a plan to get back home safely in time to get all the rest you want. Every year after the event, we ask the students for their feedback, and one of the top responses is that it's very difficult to meet the 3-minute time constraint successfully. So I encourage all of you to practice and time yourself so that you're able to fit under the time limit without rushing, because the 3-minute time limit is not flexible, and that is a very real challenge. So practice, practice, practice. And if you can, practice in front of other people, such as your advisor for this project, or other research team members that you worked with on the project, or your peers. Really anybody who is watching you to ask you questions so you can practice the Q&A. Consider, if you can't find anyone to practice with, recording yourself and listening to yourself in the playback. It's better to be prepared to give your entire presentation in less than 3 minutes than to accidentally go over. I know from personal experience as a public speaker that even just a little bout of forgetfulness can throw off your time significantly. There will be someone in the room with you to cue you when you have 1 minute left, so that you have an opportunity to assess then how to get through to the end of the presentation. Past judges have provided these suggestions for increasing your presentation success and overall score. Review your abstract to make sure it's accurate and that you've covered all the required points. Be sure to answer the question, what have you accomplished with your research, on both your abstract and also during your oral presentation. During your presentation, talk clearly and pay close attention to research objective and relevance of study. Statistics are good and should provide proof of outcomes. They also stress that you should focus on what you contributed to the project. Like, don't claim to have done it all if that's not the case. You should avoid jargon in your oral presentation. Clarity for a mixed audience is important, but be careful not to dumb it down to an elementary level. Another point I want to make is go back to the scientific process that informed the structure of your research to begin with. What is your hypothesis? How did you set up this research to correspond to what you saw as the needs for answering that question? Connect all the dots. It is really tempting to talk about your favorite part of the research in depth, but you're going to have to hit a lot of different points to be able to give us a clear understanding of the project as a whole. The judges stress that you should focus on what you contributed to the project. Outline your specific role and contributions. Don't claim to have done it all if that's not the case, but be sure to spotlight your specific accomplishments. It's okay if you conducted this research as a part of a team. We fully expect that. Here are some phrases that might help you not accidentally take credit for something you didn't do, such as, with the assistance of blank, I accomplished blank. In collaboration with my faculty mentor, I blank. These are just some ideas that judges have thrown out in the past, but there are lots of ways to do it. The best way to improve your overall presentation skills is to practice. I suggest that you record yourself and play it back so you can notice things like your speaking speed, flow, any mannerisms that might need to be tweaked. You should present to a non-science friend for feedback, as well as colleagues in your field to be sure your presentation can be understood by people inside and outside your focus area. And what if you don't have the answer to the judge's questions? It's better to say that you don't know, will research the answer. This feedback is directly from a judge. So be honest. You might not enjoy saying, I don't know. But I want to remind you that that phrase, I don't know, is the beginning of true knowledge, and it will read as such to the judges. I hope we have answered any questions you might have about the judging portion of the event. Let's go on to talk about the poster session at the Capitol. We will all meet early the next morning, Tuesday, April 15th, 2025, at the State Capitol building. This is where you will share your work with state legislators and the public. On the morning of the 15th, we will have bottled water available for you, but please be sure to eat and grab a cup of coffee before you come, because there really isn't going to be a chance to do that during the event. All students need to arrive at the Capitol between 7:30 and 8:15 to set up their posters and register. We'll be on the second floor rotunda. Posters must be set up and ready to present no later than 8:25 a.m. The awards ceremony will be at 11:30 in the first floor meeting room. Posters will be left up until after the awards ceremony so that people can watch or people can look at them. Please take all your personal valuables with you, but leave the posters up during the ceremony. The Capitol building complex is large and has many large buildings. It can be kind of daunting. So my suggestion is to make a trip to the Capitol building before the event to be sure that you can navigate the complex and find your way into the building. It sounds like it would be simple, but it's kind of not. When you arrive the day of the event, park in an approved visitor parking area and arrive early if you want to be sure to find a parking spot. When you are facing the Capitol building from the parking lot marked as optimal on this page, you will need to enter through the doors on the left side of the building. There is a drive-through beside a portico at the door if you have someone who can drop you off. There is security and metal detectors to enter, so don't bring any knives or any other items that would cause you to have to return to your car. Legislators are notified of your personal participation in the event by State Regents Chancellor Sean Barrage. They are encouraged to visit you on the rotunda and to issue a citation to recognize your accomplishment. And I really hope they all do that. From what I understand, not all of them do that. But that is definitely a possibility that your actual representatives will be coming specifically to meet you and learn about the research that you're doing.
We will be on the second floor rotunda this year. Legislators will visit our student presenters in a come-and-go informal format as their schedules allow. We've been on the second floor in the past and found attendance extremely good, but please be patient if there are lags.
A 6-foot tablecloth with a white floor-length tablecloth will be provided for you. You are required to bring your poster, a firm board backing for your poster, and any tacks or attachment materials that you might need for that. You need to bring your own easel for this event, your poster number and your name badge, both that were provided the previous day. You are highly encouraged to bring hands-on demonstration materials, and you might also consider bringing something to protect your poster from the wind or the rain, like a poster tube if one is available, or even a large garbage bag. Before you purchase an easel, I suggest you first check with your advisor to see if they have one that you can borrow. If they do, you should get it from them early so you can make sure it isn't wobbly or missing pieces. Our office has used both styles pictured here. The one on the left is the style that I have found most reliable and stable. This one was on sale on Amazon for $19.99, but that was last year, so check back. Please do not use the style of easel on the right. It falls apart, it is wobbly, they are not reliable, and you don't want to have to deal with that. As I said before, your poster must be mounted on a board both days of the event so that it doesn't flop around. First, check with your advisor to see if there's a loaner available. If not, see if your poster printer has the capability to mount your poster or provide a separate board. If those are both dead ends, you can always purchase a white foam core board at an office supply store like Office Depot or Hobby Lobby. You might be able to check with your school's bookstore. They often have lots of supplies like this, but you're going to want it on that firm board for both days of your event. When you arrive on the rotunda, your materials will be on the table and they will be marked with your name and poster number. There will also be a survey form and a contact sheet at your table, which are to be turned into the EPSCoR table before we break for the awards ceremony. We have a little thank you gift for the researchers, and we will give that to you when you turn in your survey form. Everyone must be set up and ready to present their work at 8:25 in the morning. And as long as we all plan ahead, I don't think that there's going to be any problems with that. I will also be there to try to help with anything that comes up. Remember, you're not doing this alone. Hands-on demonstration materials aren't required, but they do help draw people in and convey your message. Past students like this one have brought lab journals and materials, models, and even live specimens in containers. So think about what might pertain to your research and help illustrate your process for people who will be visiting you at the Capitol who might be totally unfamiliar with this process. On both Monday and Tuesday, business dress is called for, but you don't have to buy a new suit. The marble floor at the Capitol is very tiresome to stand on, so try to wear comfortable shoes. There will be photographers there to photograph you, and I will be using photos to promote your accomplishments, so be prepared to present yourself to the world. The Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education will be sending a photographer, and we are inviting the press. So it's possible that local news outlets may also want to take your picture. Here are some examples of how people have dressed in the past. Suits are an option, but the goal is to look business professional on both days. To reiterate, you need a firm board both days for your poster and an easel only at the Capitol. During your time at the Capitol, you'll share your work with visitors and legislators alike, speaking in terms they can understand. This is an opportunity to practice your science outreach skills and to be an ambassador of science to people who may not know anything about scientific method. So be prepared to explain some of those aspects of your research as well. Home and school senators and representatives will both be notified based on your home and school address that was provided on the nomination documents. So use layman's terms when you speak with them and outline how much your research benefits their constituents. This is the time that citations are usually presented, and unfortunately not everyone will receive one, but we do our best to encourage and support that. You can look up your legislators online via the link on this page. It will help you recognize them when they visit your poster. Grab a photographer when the legislator is ready to take a photo. We issue press releases to school and home papers. EPSCoR will distribute certificates to each participant during the event to recognize their participation. Citations are usually presented by legislators throughout the day, but sometimes they choose to present them during the award ceremony. We respect their choices. Winners will receive certificates during the award ceremony at the end of the day. So what do you say to these legislators and Capitol guests, and how do you talk to them? They're very busy people, and they most likely don't have a background in your subject matter. So the 3-minute scientific presentation that you gave to the judges the day before won't be suitable for this situation. You'll need to develop an effective 60-second elevator pitch to hold their interest. And we have some tips here for how to get that ball rolling. First, ask yourself, what problem is my research contributing to solve? Write down the big picture possibilities in about 60 seconds. Next, how is your research contributing to a solution to this problem? Don't go into specifics. Again, spend about 60 seconds brainstorming. Then what are your results or expected results, and who or what will benefit from them? And finally, what is your call to action? Do you want to ask the listener if they have any questions? Do you want to direct them to more information? What's the logical next step to continue their thought process? After brainstorming items 1 through 4, pick the top responses of each and use that problem, solution, results, action outline to develop a 150-word script. Keep in mind that the focus is really different from your judged scientific presentations. Practice by recording yourself in private and get it down to a natural 60-second talk. Then present it to colleagues and non-research friends for feedback and revise as needed based on their feedback. So you'll be fully prepared to share your work with legislators at the and Capitol guests at Research Day. Remember that you will have access to these slides throughout the event. You can come back and refer to them whenever you want. I just want to speak for just a moment about your physical poster because we covered that in the student information training session number 1. The link is here if you want to go back to that, and you probably still have the slides that I sent for that. So you will get a chance to revise your poster. It's due March 31st. I highly recommend that you all consider revising your poster. Some notes from the judges include: make sure that your hypothesis is in the poster, and make sure that you connect the different ideas together, and try to do it with few words. Sometimes the posters are overcrowded with information, and that actually really takes away from the presentation. Simplicity and directness are key here. I personally find that very difficult when I'm discussing scientific matters or anything that's important to me. So this is a place to maybe get feedback from your advisor or peers or other researchers, especially working on your project. The best thing to do is really just practice. Make sure your poster is supporting the presentation you want to give, and do consider revising that. I'm going to finish up with just some final important details. As a part of your participation in Research Day at the Capitol, you will receive a $250 stipend. It's meant to cover your travel expenses and poster development costs, but any money that is not used is yours to keep. And since the check is considered a reimbursement, you will not receive a 1099 tax form. For these reasons, I encourage you to check with your advisor regarding borrowing an easel instead of purchasing one, and also see what you can use for the board for your poster. Non-OSU students will be mailed a check to your permanent address, the one that was listed on your nomination submissions. So if you're not currently living there, make sure that whoever does live there knows to be on the lookout for that check and to hold the letter for you. Remember, only you are allowed to open your mail. For students from OSU, because of the way we're funded, you will receive a reimbursement on your Bursar accounts. And we are processing those forms in-house. I may be reaching out to your advisors with questions, but don't worry about that. In order to retain the $250 stipend and to qualify for the prizes, students must view this presentation in its entirety and participate in all of the required activities that we've discussed during this presentation today. So you will want to make sure that you sign and send back the PDF form that you accessed this presentation from as soon as possible. And you're not required to resubmit your poster, but I strongly encourage you to consider doing that. I will be individually contacting students via email who meet the state requirements for overnight lodging. Those whose home and school addresses are both 55 miles or more from the state capitol in Oklahoma City. EPSCoR will provide a hotel room for those students upon their request at the same hotel where we're doing the judge session. Look for an email from me that will include all the details as well as instructions on how to confirm and or accept the room. Let's look at these important dates one last time, and I will also be emailing everyone the slides for this presentation in case you want to look at that again. February 28th is the deadline for submitting the second student information training session form for watching this presentation. You're going to be able to spend February and March developing your poster and having it professionally printed, pre-mount your poster or obtaining your right size board and attachment materials, and obtaining an easel. We hope you'll spend this time practicing your judged oral presentation with diverse audiences and also your pitch to legislators and the public. On March 19th, online registration closes for the event. Be on the lookout for an email from me with that. And on the 31st, your final submissions of your poster PDF are due. April 14th, we'll all meet at the embassy in Oklahoma City for poster and oral presentation judging. The address is below there. And on the 15th, we will be at the state capitol to present posters to legislators and the public and for the awards ceremony. I really encourage you to reach out via email or text. You guys have my cell number. If you have questions, ask them soon. And if you have problems on the way to the Capitol, let us know. I really want to make sure everybody gets there safely. And I hope you all have a great day. I'm really excited to see your presentations, and we'll be in touch. Thank you, everyone.